21st, 2023. We are on day 32 of the 40-day journey here. And I am currently in Cartagena, Colombia still. And yeah, just let me know where you are in the world and how you're doing. So I'm going to pull us a card as always. Yesterday we had the new moon in Pisces, and today Venus entered the sign of Aries. So there's a little background noise because I am in a hotel with my sister. Okay, so let's see. Was that the cleaning lady? Oh, okay. We are live here, so can't help natural interruptions. Okay, what is the energy for today? So you want to check where you have, obviously, your Pisces house, if you know your natal chart, to see where this renewal, this new beginning, this beautiful Piscean energy is happening in your personal chart, and also where you have Aries, because like I said, Venus is currently in Aries right now. And Venus is the planet of attraction, of beauty, of relationships. Oh my gosh. As I said that, the Two of Cups came out. So this is Venus in Cancer. This is like soulmate energy. And I actually can't, like, I can believe, obviously, because I believe in this stuff, but every card that I've pulled has gone very well with the day's topic, which today we're talking about your soul family. This specifically comes after the Ace of Cups, the offering, the Holy Grail, the overflowing of one cup. And as I've been saying along this journey, you can't give a cup, you can't give love, you can't give to others until you give to yourself first. And Venus in Cancer speaks about sharing equally with another person. This is like major soulmate partnership energy. And I've been getting this card. We got this card, I think a couple of times during this 40-day journey. So it seems like the collective energy is people finding or wanting to manifest their soulmate or soul family. So I do find it interesting because Venus is said to not be happy in the sign of Aries because it's in its detriment. Venus doesn't have all of its resources in the sign of a Marsian energy, because Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is all about separation, doing your own thing, getting after it, whereas Venus is all about attracting and bringing in. It's like literally the opposite energy, but maybe Venus in Aries is like actually getting after what your heart desires and allowing that energy to come in. Venus in Aries is a very it's like a little bit of a spicy kind of flavor. It's very different from when Venus was in Pisces. When Venus was in Pisces, it was like, let's listen to beautiful music together and get high, or like, let's go to the ocean and walk on the beach and say beautiful, like recite poetry to each other. That was like Venus in Pisces, but Venus in Aries is like, let's get it on. Doesn't have to be a forever thing, but this Two of Cups is definitely, I can feel a lot of the collective wants to find their soulmate, their soul family, which segues perfectly into today, day 32, finding your soul family. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, by Jim Rohn. Okay, so here we go. My first foray into taking a manifestation course was in 2018. The manifestation coach told us to find expanders. In other words, people who looked like us, who were doing what we wanted to do. the women of color in the group brought it to the teacher's attention that for marginalized groups, it's not that simple. Many of them spoke up about their need to manifest for survival, not just to improve their life or follow their pleasures. Also, they pointed out that the lack of representation in finding these expanders was a major problem. So basically, in 2018, I joined this famous manifestation coach's manifesting group, and she told us to find expanders, people who looked like us, who were doing what we wanted to do, and like ask them to be our mentor. But obviously, if you're not being represented in media or in general, it's very hard to find those expanders. And I would say since then, I have found those expanders, but it takes very intentional like networking and finding the right people. And a couple of us brought it to her attention because also at the time, now this is so sad that I don't remember the man's name that was um murder. It was a black man who was murdered by police in 2018 in New York City, but a lot of the black women and obviously women of color in the group felt that it's not manifesting is not the same for everybody because we all start at different places, right? So she kicked us out of that group, the teacher, and we formed our own group. And I think that was the best thing that ever happened personally because then I made lifelong friendships. One of my friends that I met was Miriam Ejayi, and she started Dive and Well, which is like a diversity and wellness initiative. And then I met another healer, Jordan, who is also based in New York, and we like really bonded over this, and we're still friends to today. We've each done our own thing. I started a podcast, and obviously, I wrote this book about manifestation. So, like, there was a couple lessons that I learned during that time, which was one when those kinds of things happen, it was like a signal for me and my friends that we're not being served, we're not being represented by our own people. So we have to step up and be those leaders for our communities and find our own soul family, people who can like talk about racial injustice and how we live in an oppressive system, my sister's gonna laugh, how we live in the patriarchy and how women are paid less than men, and especially black women, to the dollar of a white man. And that all impacts how we manifest, how we see this world, how we treated, it impacts how we see ourselves and within the greater collective. So the second thing I learned was that it helped me to write this book and to be more aware of these kinds of things, right? Like, I think new age spirituality, especially on TikTok and the manifestation, new age manifestation, is kind of getting a backlash because a lot of white teachers, white bodied teachers say, just think positive thoughts. Um, Thoughts become your reality. But in reality, it's a lot more difficult than that. There's a lot more nuance and a lot more layers and intersectionality that has to go into the conversation of manifestation. So that's why I say, like, if you are a Black woman or an Asian woman or an Indigenous woman, are you really going to believe anything is possible when this world has told you that you're not worthy and your body's not valuable? Probably not. So I think that's why affinity groups are really important. People surrounding yourself with other people who look like you, who have similar experiences to you. I'm just so grateful because I found a BIPOC group of women locally where I live. And BIPOC, if you don't know, means Black, Indigenous, people of color. Um, and we all support each other in our manifestations. And it's really important to find your affinity group so you can all support each other. That's why soul family is so important. That's why I included this in the manifestation book. Um, okay, Let's see. With time and effort, I was able to find my people, the people who inspire me, and not just celebrities or influencers. When I started traveling full time in 2017, I met other women of color who were entrepreneurs, healers, artists, and community builders. They were also advocates and activists helping BIPOC, LGBTQIA, and disabled and other marginalized groups. During this time, I did a Marie Kondoing of my friendships. I looked around at my circle of friends and took note of whom I felt comfortable sharing my dreams with. I wanted to be able to be completely honest with them about my goals and plans without fear of judgment. If there were people who did not support me, I let those relationships go. I'm not telling you to ditch your friends, but today, just to be honest with yourself about the people around you. So, going back to the quote that began this day, you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. So, just like look at the five people you spend the most time with. Like, how do they lift you up? Do they believe in their dreams? Do they go after their dreams? Do they live the life of their dreams? Do they, have the same money mindset, or are they actively healing their limiting beliefs? Are they actively living a life that they want to live? It's really hard to go after your dreams and make these big risks and take these big steps if you're surrounded by people who don't do that. If your friends or your family kind of dream and they talk a lot but they don't actually take action, it's going to be a lot less motivating for you. And I also believe, obviously, energetically, that we are um like sponges for energy. So like when you see somebody who you spend the most time with, like constantly going after and believing and failing and trying again, like you're going to be way more motivated just by observing, because the mirror neurons in our brain, like when we observe something, we're more likely to do that. I think that was in like the first week when I talked about that, the observer effect. Okay, so and this is like really important too when things get tough, when you are at a plateau, when you are challenged, when things aren't necessarily going your way. Um, like I did a whole friendship audit during the pandemic. And because I, had the time to contemplate and to look around myself and ask myself, are these people that truly make me feel safe and secure? Can I share my dreams with them? And do they get like threatened by my success? Do they talk shit about me anytime that I do something cool? And yes, they did. My high school friends, back when I started my first travel blog, talked shit about me, like, oh, look at her, she thinks she's so cool, right? Yeah, I am fucking cool because I am doing something different. But I realized way later, because I thought like out of obligation you should have friends that that you've known forever. But I realized I don't need to anymore. And the minute I let those friends go, all of these new friends entered my life because I needed to do that purge. And now these friends that I have, um, I know somebody, her name is Anita Kopach. She also is an author. She's like actively getting after her dreams, and she posts the most inspirational content. Her sister is an actress and a bee farmer, and their friend started the Slow Factory, which is a company all about environmental justice. And their other friend is like an educator and wants to help kids do breath work and yoga and like all these things. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I sat on this and like didn't expand my networks with people who are actually actively going after their dreams and like making a change. And that was another thing. People who are actively trying to change our culture and make it more inclusive and safe for everybody. So, anyway, um so take the time today to evaluate your relationships and um just see like do a friendship audit and just like make a list and just ask yourself, is this person with me in my hard times and my good times? Does this person, do we actively both, like the Two of Cups, do we actively both give equally to this relationship? I was also sharing with my cousin, he's an Aquarius sun. I was saying, like, our society puts such a huge emphasis on romantic relationships, and we were never taught about how to communicate with people and how to have platonic relationships. Like in a romantic relationship, you go from like acquaintances to getting to know each other, and then at some point you have the conversation of, are we going to take this to the next level? Like, are we going to be exclusive and invest time? But we never do that with our platonic relationships. Well, I started doing that last year, and I started really like weeding out people. And again, this isn't like ditching people or like I'm better than you or whatever. It really is like, are we at a point where we can actively and consciously communicate with each other and give equally to a relationship? Because you never want to be in a relationship where one person is giving more than the other, which is why you have to communicate. And so specifically, one of my friends, she's also an Aquarius sun. I just think Aquarians are just really good at this, because Aquarius rules the sign. That sign rules friendships. But I asked her, I was like, would you like to like spend more time together, and would you like to take our friendship to the next level? And then we started spending more time together. We started like talking more, and like texting each other. And she told me about this thing that her therapist told her about friendship tiers. Like, your first tier friendships are friends who you've known for a really long time, you have history, and like they're like your family. And second tier is like people who you occasionally see, but you like hang out with them, but maybe they don't have all access to you. And then third tier friends are people that you maybe like hang out with and like have fun with. And then fourth tier are like acquaintances, right? But you know them, but they're more acquaintances. So it's important to also be very clear of which friends go into which tier, so you know how much time and energy to put them to spend on each other. But also, it's important to have that conversation with the other person so that you're not making assumptions. I just thought that was so brilliant, and, I definitely feel like my relationships have strengthened so much in the last year that, now there's, like, no, like, and also I just think that my communication has been way more honest and way more direct, and in a non, mean way. So, if you are calling in soul family, start by doing the things you love. By doing what excites you, you are inevitably going to meet heart minded souls. Also, when you do things you love, that energy radiates out and you attract the people who are meant to find you, who make you feel safe and like you, can participate in the mutual give and take of energies that a true relationship should be. We manifest from our feelings, so it's important for you to feel safe. Take this opportunity to surround yourself with people who make you feel as if you are in a safe space in which you can be vulnerable. When you don't have to perform and wear masks, you can be completely yourself in harmony and balance with the world around you. So, like I said, today's exercise is a relationship audit. List all of your closest friends, particularly those in your inner circle, and meditate on whether those relationships are reciprocal. Then the go deeper exercise is reading the book, The Five Love Languages. And this is something that my sister actually did. She sent a questionnaire to all of her friends. And I didn't necessarily send a questionnaire. I've just been talking to my friends about this and asking them, what are your love languages? How do you like to receive love? And how do you give love? How can we spend more time together, either through calling each other on the phone or actively meeting up in person or traveling to each other, and things like that? And like, how can I be more of a better friend, and um, just communicating these things. So that's the go deeper exercise for today. But really, like, um, there's this book. I forgot the name of it now. It's in my life. I think it's called Social. Um, it's a book about a group of scientists who studied like what makes people the happiest, right? And there's been many studies about this topic. And the number one predictor of happiness overall was the strength of your relationships. And I don't know if you've also seen that movie Happy that came out like a couple years ago, but that also said the number one predictor and indicator of happiness for humans was relationships. So if we know that relationships is what makes us happy and fulfilled in life, then why don't we learn how to be in relationships in school? How do we not learn nonviolent communication and communicating and having and being in a community and being in platonic relationships? Because there's books about like divorce, and like there's relationships about how to become a better partner romantically, right? But there's not as much content about platonic relationships and being in a community, because personally I believe being in a community is antithetical to our hyper individualistic Western culture in the United States. But there are so many communities, there's so many cultures out there that are more community based and they are happier, and they don't you don't need as much because you have, you know, somebody who can provide something. And if everybody came to a community and gave something and received something, then you really wouldn't need capitalism, which is like what I really think that's about. But I believe that, again, like relationships is the number one predictor of happiness. So we really need to work on relationships and learning to relate to each other. And that's why I think it's way easier to manifest with a community and your soul family than it is by yourself. I don't believe it's an individual effort. Whenever I'm with my like high vibrational friends, my new friends, we always ask each other like, what are you currently manifesting now and how can I support you? And like those are the kind of people you want to be around. Like you don't want to be around people who are like, oh, you're doing that, like who do you think you are? Or you want to write a book, like you don't even write, or you know, things like that. Like I know now the kind of people I want to surround myself in. And again, everyone's on their own journey. This is not to like cut people down and say I'm better than you, but I personally feel whole and fulfilled when I'm around people who are like, how can I support you? How can I buy your book? Who else can I tell, like share about your services and what you do? And that's how you manifest. You manifest through other people as well. They don't, it just doesn't sometimes fall from like the sky, even though sometimes it does, but you manifest through other people. Other people deliver the thing to you. So anyway, I feel like this is such an important topic, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. So just looking till tomorrow, I can't believe we're almost like tomorrow will be a week until we're done with this journey, and it'll be March 1st. I feel like I've been hyping up March for a really long time astrologically. So tomorrow is day 33, healing your scarcity mindset or your mentality. And like always, if you want to buy this book, it's available on Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, bookshop.org, IndieBound. It's also available on Kindle and Audible. But I highly recommend doing the exercises because we create change through daily action. And all the links to my bio and everything about me are also down below in the description box. But have a beautiful day. And yeah, happy Pisces season. And I will see you tomorrow.